I guess I've come through the building industry hands-on, many years experience with home builders, building myself, and it's a process that you go through, and when you approach builders, it's got to be I'm saying too many ums here, but anyway, it's you've got to ask them the right questions.
Most people think they're choosing a home builder, but Mr. Glenn Whitcher says that you are really choosing the entire experience, the budget, stress, hidden costs, delays, and trust issues that come with it. After decades of on-site and building multiple homes himself, Glenn Whitcher from Queensland, Australia, now teaches a 5-step path to build with clarity, confidence, and control. We're here on Pat Mesiti's best-selling author podcast with best-selling author Glenn Whitcher, who was recently co-published with Pat in a book called The Freedom Blueprint, where Glenn told you what to look for in a home builder. That way you can avoid some of these costly mistakes before they even happen. So, Mr. Glenn, glad to see you. Glad to be speaking with you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Right.
And so do you think we left anything out of the introduction? What should people know about home builders and about you especially?
Sorry, about home builders and
what should we know about home builders? What should we know about you?
Yep. I guess I've come through the building industry hands-on, many years experience with home builders, building myself, and it's a process that you go through, and when you approach builders, it's got to be saying too many ums here, but anyway, it's you've got to ask them the right questions with I'm trying to think of the word to say. I was going to say dignity, but that's not the word. It's got to be asking the right questions clearly and being kind to them, I guess. I'm just trying to think of that word. A lot of people go in and they approach builders, but I've worked with a building company over the years with a lot of sales consultants, and choosing the right sales consultant is key to getting the job done in the end through the process.
Okay, great. So people need to ask the right questions and be adequately prepared. So to help us understand what you do you do residential? Do you do specific size of project, or like what's your specialty?
Residential, standard type of residential construction. Yep. Renovations is another game altogether, and knockdown and rebuilds is another game altogether. So I don't. At the moment, I'm not involved in those sort of things, but with the building industry at the moment, there's a lot of the prices are extreme compared with a few years ago, due to a lot of people moving to Queensland from other areas, and the trades are not in abundance, where tradies tend to go for the people who are going to pay them more money. But that in itself, that when you're choosing the builder, the lowest cost is not always going to be the cheapest end result.
Of course. So when you said that there's this importance of knowing the right things, asking the right questions. I know there's probably a 1.5 million questions that someone might ask you about a residential build, but would you say, might there be like a top 1 or 2 questions you wished a new prospect would ask you right off the bat?
Whether you've got land or not.
Okay.
That's it's yes, that's a good question. And the second one, what's your budget?
Hmm.
And those two things are very important when it comes to going through the process. Approaching a builder before you've got those two things, you'll probably be treated a little bit less than if you had your land and you had your finances in place. But it's very important to approach a finance company that you, if you need finance, of course. Hello, darling. She's in the background.
Yeah. It's okay. She's making a guest appearance.
Yeah. Just if you need finance, it's approaching a finance company that will generally get you'll answer your questions, but quite importantly is to have a finance person that's going to take seriously a contingency, as the building industry is when you're building, there are some costs that are unknown before you buy the land, after you buy the land, and then there's things like your soil tests and your engineering, your bushfire, your flood control, and many other things that go with buying a block of land.
Okay, so and that's good to know, because we've all been in those situations as adults where we made a phone call to an expert of any kind, and we realized, oh my gosh, I needed to do all kinds of research. I needed to have things figured out, and I kind of wasted my time and their time, and we can't proceed forward. And now I have homework to do. So it's good to have some of the homework done, and you say to have the plot of lands and have things figured out, like the flooding, is the soil, and then also know what your budget is. And then when it's time to kind of solve some of these problems, plan the house, is it usually like custom design, or is it like a built from a factory, or like what's the usual approach to going from the plot of land to the home being built?
There's two sort of areas you can venture into when it comes to building. One is a project builder, which have a lot of standard plans, and the other one is a kind of a specialised builder that will go through, have plans that have been drawn elsewhere. But with a project builder, it's easier to run with a project builder that have a standard set of plans that you can look at, and more importantly, that's going to fit on your block of land. And it's when you approach somebody, from my point of view, it's easy to know whether they are fully aware of the land and what sort of products going to be available to you to build on that land. And they do have base house prices that could potentially fit your budget.
Great. It sounds exciting, right? You figure out, well, what plans are there, and what might the budget be, and what might fit. In all of your adventures doing home building, have you had any kind of crazy experiences? Was there any kind of disaster that went really wrong with the build, or anything like that? Any drama?
Yes. There's been, personally, with my builds, there hasn't been any, because I've aligned myself with a sales consultant who in the past was aligned with a few builders that were in the area I was building, and I soon learned that the guy could be absolutely trusted, and this is going back quite a few years. But with some of the builders, there's a lot of things to be aware of, and when you're buying land, there is information that comes with the land purchase, and generally, if you go through a lawyer rather than a conveyancer, it's going to cost you a bit more money, but you're also going to get a little bit more help and guidance from the conditions that come with the land. Some of those are not known at the time, depending on the developer, but it's from a client point of view, you've got to try and keep it as simple as you possibly can, because it's a minefield. And talking to a builder, if you generally know how you're going to interact with that person and probably trust them a little bit more than maybe if you went to another builder.
Yeah. Well, great. So trust.
It is a minefield, really, for a person that's new to the building game, or even doing the second or third build.
Of course. And a minefield sounds scary if you don't have a map, but if you had a map in front of you that said, hey, go around this one and go over there to avoid the minefield, that's more of what we want. And so if someone were to choose or consider you as their builder, what do you think makes you stand out?
I'm not sure about that one, because I'm not, they can't use me as a builder because I'm not in the building game.
Okay.
Yeah. I've actually got a Queensland builder's license. I should say I'm a licensed builder. It's better than saying I've got a Queensland builder's license. And I have used it to build a few homes quite a few years ago, but that's not my game anymore. I've still kept the builder's license current, and that I get notifications from the Queensland Building Authority on things like that. With going to a builder, I guess maybe three builders you could approach in the area if there was those builders available. Yeah. Or 2 or 3 is going to be adequate if you go to those sort of people, and then you'll quickly, I think, from asking some of the questions, you're going to get somebody who is going to interact with you better than what other people are.
Okay. Well, so what is your business currently then? Are you retired? Do you train other builders? What would someone get from you as far as a service?
I guess I haven't finished my webinar, but I guess from that webinar, it's that I could book somebody in for a personal call. And I guess if they paid for my webinar, which maybe $200 to $300, I would do a personal interview with somebody for nothing, and then maybe 20-30 minutes, something like that, and then if they wanted to follow up with any more, maybe charge. I'm not really sure on that. Maybe rely a bit more on David for that, or you for a thing. I'm interacting with Pat at the moment, and he's sort of saying that you can give away a few free things, and then that'll come into buying something a bit later on.
Yeah. So if someone were to do one of these meetings with you, do you want to chat with someone who's looking to find a builder, and you're helping them adequately prepare for that?
Yes, maybe they've approached some people, and they've got maybe 2 or 3 builders or something like that, and they've got not sure on which ones. I think in my webinar, it's important that when they're interacting with builders and asking them questions, they actually take notes and write things down. And I'm a note taker.
Sure.
And that's quite important, because if you're into a asking people, or a sales consultant, particularly for a building company, and you're taking notes, I think they might take you a bit more seriously than if you don't take anything, because they know you've taken notes. And look, I've, in my role in the past 15 years with a building company, I'm just quietly at the moment finishing that with them. There's seven sales consultants that I've worked with. Two of them you'd trust 100%. One of them maybe half, and the other ones not at all. That's been harsh. But that's the reality and the truth of it.
Yeah, it's a jungle out there. So we've mentioned a few of the maybe obvious things to look out for, right? Is the land good? And maybe you have other factors that are like not just price. Is there anything that's maybe not so obvious, where you've done this so many times, you've gone through the process? If there's a prospective buyer out there looking for a builder, is there maybe a question that people don't ask that you wish they would ask more?
Think about that one. Yeah. I guess it's when you're talking to the sales consultant, and a lot comes down to the interaction between them and their office, where they get, the offices where they do the pricing, they do the plans, they do the, and a lot comes down to the interaction between the office and the sales consultants, and that is one of the most important connections that I think that they need to have. And if you can't get an answer from a sales consultant for something, who at the office would be the contact that you could ask? That's a tricky one. Yep.
Oh yeah.
In a smaller building company, it might be the owner. In a larger building company, it could be the person, how would you say it, the contact at the head office that would be a nominated person. That's a difficult one for some people.
Okay, well, that's good to know. So you when you're looking for this home builder, you should have questions on your mind, and if the salesperson doesn't have the answer, they should go and get that for you, right? Those lines of communication should be there. And so I know that you have a lot of helpful advice when it comes to building, right? You kind of to avoid the sales pressure. You say you make sure things are written down so that way they're understood. You have this 5-step framework, and it's all about avoiding stress and overwhelm when choosing a builder. But in this conversation you and I are having here, Mr. Glenn, do you think there might be a missing question about finding a home builder that I should be asking you? I just don't know to ask you.
Yeah, I think it's somebody that will not put you under pressure to sign up. It'll be somebody that there's a lot that goes on, and it's very important in my eyes to go through all the lead up to signing the contract, which is the plans and also all the other conditions that would be triggered under the council regulations. And that's another thing that a company that has a nominated person in that company that's got a good relationship with the local authorities is very important as well. You'll probably as a client you wouldn't know that, but there's just something about it that needs to have, a person that has got a good relationship with the local authorities or the building certifiers, because in Queensland it's a little bit different from other states.
Okay. Well, great to know going in. Well, I think that the bottom line that I'm getting from you is that home building is a lot more complicated than just putting some materials on the ground, right? There's all kinds of rules and regulations and ways that can go wrong, and we don't know what we don't know. And depending on our area and our hopes and dreams and what we're looking into, every situation is a little bit different, which is why it's so important for someone to reach out to you and have these sorts of conversations. So there's a few ways that they can do that. There is the email address, which is Glenn with two N's, so that's GLENN .Whitcher, which is WHITCHER. That's glenn.whitcher@gmail.com. My understanding is that you also have a new and excellent Facebook group called Choosing the Right Builder. So we'll have a link to that underneath. And if you're in that Queensland, Australia area, give Glenn Whitcher a call. That phone number is 0438 290 557. And one more time, that's 0438 290 557. And Glenn is co-authored, co-published with Pat Mesiti in the book, The Freedom Blueprint. You can find that at freedomblueprintbook.com. And if you have these questions, concerns, you just need someone else on your side to assist you in this process of finding a home builder, contact and have this quick and easy phone call conversation with Glenn Whitcher to talk about your options and your hopes and dreams. And he might point you in a better direction than you were looking into, and he can really help you out. So that's 0438 290 557. Make that phone call, send that quick text. And before I let you go, Mr. Glenn, it's time for the scary part of the podcast where I try to stump you. I try to put you on the spot by asking you about a fun or interesting quote or lesson that has served you. So what comes to mind as far as a fun or interesting quote or lesson?
I'm a bit stuck on that one.
Okay.
You mean a story like that got me into the building industry? Is that something that
just a life lesson? Well, I'm seeing you said slow down, breathe deep, proceed carefully. Is that something you live by?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's the one.
Okay, so if someone says I'm so stressed, overwhelmed about this home building process, then what would your advice be to someone like that?
Slow down, breathe easy. What was the other one I had on there?
Proceed carefully.
Proceed carefully.
Yeah. That's a good 3-step process in any stressful situation. Yeah. Well, great. And so you can proceed to that phone number, that email address, or that Facebook group. Any final parting words of advice, Mr. Glenn, or is it just reach out and have that conversation with you?
Yeah, I guess it is that. It's just taking one step at a time, and not be pressured into things that a sales consultant will. And there's a lot of people out there within the building construction industry that have these great promotions that spend $5,000 and get $60,000 worth of extras on a build. Well, that's purely a promotion thing, and I guess it is too good to be true in some cases.
Okay. So, and you can guide us with that. So it's time to reach out to
one of those questions you would ask is, if I don't take the promotion, what sort of price can I have? It's a revised price without a promotion.
Oh, okay. And you can help with that. So if you're so tempted, you say, oh, this promotion looks great, then run it by Glenn and see what he thinks. Get an expert opinion. And you can call 0438 290 557. Glenn Whitcher at gmail.com. That's GLENN Glenn Whitcher is a building industry professional who learned his trade from the ground up with real projects and real outcomes. and he helps you avoid costly mistakes, ask better questions, and move through the building process with more clarity and confidence. When the right builder is chosen and the process is handled properly, building a home can be successful and rewarding. So reach out right now to Mr. Glenn Whitcher. You'd be glad that you did. You'll have a fun conversation. You'll get some results. So thanks for showing up, self-admired Mr. Glenn, and giving us some wonderful advice about choosing a home builder. I appreciate it very much.
All right, I was a bit nervous about it.